Hey guys, Jenna Sackett here. I'm super excited to be back with you guys. It's been a couple weeks, so I was a little anxious to actually come on and hang out with you guys for a little bit. Hello, Gary from Newburgh, New York. I love always seeing where you guys are joining from. We are going live in 3 different places. We have YouTube, the Stalls All Things Heat Printing page, and of course our Heat Press for Profit Facebook group. So just keep those 3 platforms in mind, or groups and pages in mind whenever you are planning on attending any of our live broadcasts, because we are always going live in those. So reflective finishes have been really popular for a long period of time. And I feel like it's something that we continue to talk about because reflective is just one of those special effects that continues to grow and yield high profit opportunity. And if you joined Kelly Walters last week, she actually showed you a brand new reflective product that incorporates glitter, which I think is just really game changing in custom apparel decorating, because it just seems like it never stops. We're always coming out with something new and unique that we can start printing with, and glitter reflective is really, really cool. So I think she did a really great job in the graphic tee that she created there. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper on the reflective topic today and how that translates into printing custom apparel for a popular market in our industry. So we can talk about retail and the trends in retail all day. But what we need to consider is, of course, we want to be able to recreate really nice looks that we see in retail, but we need to make sure that it fits the market that we're reaching, and ultimately helping us make more money, right? So reflective is a unique finish when it comes to custom printing, because it just really, really pops. It's very eye-catching. But what markets does reflective reach best? Who is going to pay the additional fees? Obviously it's going to cost more than a standard matte heat transfer vinyl. So what types of markets are going to be willing to pay more to achieve that reflective finish or get that effect in their logo? So like I said, we see reflectivity finishes a lot in retail. Another place that I see it a lot is in our wholesale manufacturing apparel. And that's kind of what sparked the idea behind reflectivity in athleisure and fitness, which is what we are going to be talking about today. So I have an example of a tank top from a popular wholesale manufacturer known as Ogio. And Ogio does athleisure and outerwear and fitness apparel very, very well. I think that this brand really takes in a lot of the popular looks that Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, those really big name brands, what they're doing, and they incorporate that into their styles so that we as heat printers can easily get product like that and also heat apply it. So this tank top from Ogio, I selected this one particularly for this because they are using reflectivity in their logo whenever they're printing their apparel. So not only is it good for branding purposes, but you'll notice that because that reflectivity is in their branded logo here, and I have my ring light on really close to the desk, so I'm hoping that you guys can pick up on that reflectivity. But what it looks like in person, if light isn't really hitting it, is it has a silver metallic-like look to it. But when the light flashes, it's bright silver. It's really bright reflective. And that is just adding a unique value to the Ogio brand. And that's always the goal, especially if we are printing for our customers. We want to take their thought, their image, their branding, their design, And as the decorator, we want to add unique value to it, because if you're printing something with their design or logo, you as the printer want to be able to provide value to it. And reflectivity does that. And we have an example of that from our apparel manufacturers where we're sourcing wholesale apparel from. So Ogio does that really well. So if Ogio is doing it, then that means that as a heat printer, I should be able to achieve this and provide, an all-around piece with reflective for my customers. And I feel like this just fits so well in fitness and in athleisure type of apparel. But why is that a market that you even want to consider? So I actually did a class on this for the Unleash the Color event. And I printed a variety of products with our Ultra Color Soft, which is a full color screen print transfer. And we talked a lot about the popularity of athleisure and fitness apparel and why it's just going to keep growing. So I am going to share some facts with you on that. Then we're going to dive in a little bit deeper on reflective products, and then the new reflective screen print transfer that Transfer Express has just recently launched. So before we dive in real deep here, I see a good bit of comments coming in. So I'm going to check those out real quick. Hello, hello. Everyone is commenting in where they are joining from. This actually is not a new studio. This is a little home office that I have, but I did get a new table. It fits my heat press a lot better. And let's see. Hello, Brenda from Minnesota, Harley from Ohio. Just scrolling through all the comments. Boston in the house, hello. Barbara from Reading, PA. You're not too far from me. I'm right in southwestern Pennsylvania. Okay, so if you guys happen to have any questions throughout this broadcast, just comment them in. I'm going to be visiting those, making sure that I am answering any questions that you guys have. So if you weren't, if you're just now joining, we are covering reflective heat transfers, why this is something that you should consider printing for an athleisure fitness market group, okay? So I'm going to share my screen with you really quickly. And this is just some quick facts of why activewear, activewear being the overarching bucket where athleisure and fitness fit in. So you're seeing a graph here, and this represents, the activewear and how it continues to grow, like how the sales value has just grown exponentially within the past decade. So activewear, honestly, it's outgrown its beginnings as just gym clothes. And now we're starting to see brands with a mass following, such as Adidas and Nike and Under Armour, and even beyond that, because that is really big in the retail space. But if you dive deeply into the athleisure and fitness world, you'll actually notice where influencers or people that have a following have started their own apparel lines and brands. And they're printing with not just your basic matte finishes, they're printing with reflectives. They're printing with silicones and dimensional products like soft foam, because they want their brand to be unique and hold a certain value that other brands don't. Okay, so products like sweatshirts, hoodies, performance tees, leggings, tanks, anything that, has just really become a staple piece for modern lifestyles. And they're just being worn for all sorts of occasions. Like I said, it's not just for gyms. Athleisure and fitness really just goes from spending time at home, working from home, wanting to be in something casual and comfortable, to being able to go to the gym or run errands or anything like that. But the activewear sales value has grown, like I mentioned, and this research here by the Allied Market Research, that's who did this graph here that you're seeing. They expect the global activewear market to reach a value of 546.8 million by 2024. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to understand the benefit of being able to take a piece of this chunk and be able to go after customers in your area that you can be printing this apparel for, because it just continues to grow. And, you know, it's just something that you could do a quick Google search on, a Facebook group, find small gyms in your area, or people that want to start an activewear brand, and you can print that apparel for them. So that is why I think, you know, this market can be, you know, a full-time job being able to print for this market, because there's just so many opportunities. And if you are printing for this market, you want to consider what finishes you're doing. So we talk a lot about special effect finishes, and reflective being a big part of that. So we have different types of reflective. We have reflective heat transfer vinyl that you can load into a vinyl cutter and cut out custom designs, especially if you're doing smaller runs, anywhere from 12 to 24 pieces. But once you get to that 24-piece mark, at what point do you want to weed out all of those designs? So you can either order them as a transfer by uploading your artwork, or you can cut costs and make more sense for some of those higher run jobs, and order screen print transfers. So this is really going to help if you, one, don't want to cut and weed your heat transfers. If you're a screen printer and you don't want to do the entire process it takes to get a reflective ink onto a garment. And then also just helps you reach a larger group and be able to print multiples and keep costs to a minimum. So I want to shout out Transfer Express, because this is my first time actually ever ordering a reflective heat transfer with them. And what I love that they did is they actually sampled it for me already. So they printed this on a t-shirt fabric. I'm guessing this is 100% cotton. There isn't a tag in here to tell me. But it feels like a 100% cotton. And what they did is they took my gang sheet that I created in EasyView Designer, and they went and pressed it on the cotton sample piece that I have here so that I can see what it looks like. So this is one half, and this is the other. Okay, so you can see that, yeah, they printed the entire sheet. Okay, so the beauty of the reflective screen print transfers and why this is game changing is because it can be a challenge to get reflective screen print ink. There is a process in which you can do it. I actually looked it up on YouTube earlier. Ryan from Ryanet did a really great how-to explanation of how you can get reflective ink onto activewear. And I watched him print a beanie, a running hat, some gloves, and he did a really great job explaining that. But as someone that has a very small space, I know that that's not something that is going to work for me. I can't get screen print equipment. I want to just be able to do it with my heat press. So I go on transferexpress.com. I bring up EasyView Designer, and I gang up all the designs of all the different pieces of apparel that I want to be able to heat apply. So I'm going to be doing an extensive video on reflective heat transfers and how many items I can print with just one gang sheet. But I'm giving you a little bit of a sneak peek first so that you guys can see the product in action and what it looks like before you order it. So shout out to Transfer Express. I really love the pre-printed sample. I love that that's what they're doing with the products now so that you guys can show this to your customer as a sample instead of having to waste a garment or waste your own transfers and showing them what it's going to look like. So awesome job there. But this is what the sheet looks like. So this was all ganged up in EasyView Designer. It's in a mirror image right now because whenever we go to press that down, that's what it's going to look like. But I want to flip this around. I want you guys to see the front of the transfer. So you can see that it is completely silver. It has a metallic-like finish to it. But that's just the reflective. So the reflective sheet is completely flooded with a reflective like powder or whatever it's actually considered. I don't know the deep science of it, but the whole sheet is reflective. And then the back of it is where we have a water-based ink, and the reflective is only going to transfer where the water-based ink transfers. I hope I'm explaining that accurately. I was chatting with Michael Woods. Some of you might know him. He's a sales rep at Transfer Express. Before I jumped on here, I was like, hey, just confirm for me that I'm understanding this correctly. So it is reflective laminated to a release paper. And then we have the water-based ink that gets heat applied. And whenever that gets heat applied, the reflective that is laminated to the release paper, it transfers with the water-based ink. And you guys are going to see that heat application here shortly. But I just wanted you guys to see what you were getting and how it comes, because it's very unique. I don't know of anyone else in the custom heat transfer world that is doing a reflective ink heat transfer right now, other than vinyl. So we're talking ink-based here. So this is the reflective heat transfer. Screen print transfer, and this is a water-based ink. Okay. All right, so let's see real quick before we head to the heat press and actually heat apply what questions we have so far. So Steve, where can I get the vinyl? Okay, so you can get the reflective heat transfer vinyl from stalls.com. You can get the reflective screen print ink from transferexpress.com. So anything screen print, all things screen print, Transfer Express, hands down. But if you want the reflective heat transfer vinyl, you can get that from Stalls. And I actually have an example of that here because I just want to show you guys the difference. So this is reflective heat transfer vinyl. This is our High-Vis Color Reflect. And it has, the same glass beads in it that this reflective does, so that whenever light hits it, it shines real bright silver, almost white. But it does have color to it too, so that when light isn't flashing or hitting it, it still has a color. But this is just heat transfer vinyl. So we're just loading this onto a vinyl cutter and cutting this out. Whereas this is already being produced with our designs and we're just heat applying it. So that's the difference. We have heat transfer vinyl and then screen print ink reflective. Between the two, they are not, let's just stick to the screen print ink. This is not ANSI certified. And what I mean by that is it's not at the level of reflectivity that it needs to be safe for municipalities or construction site workers, road workers, anything where they need it for safety. This is not going to pass that grade of reflective. That is why I think that the athleisure and fitness market is going to be booming for this stuff, because they don't require that ANSI certification. If you need something ANSI certified, that's when you would start to look at our 3M products, because it does have the ANSI certification. It is CPSIA compliant though, meaning it's safe for kids. So just keep that in mind. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the heat application. So for starters, we want to talk about temperature, because whenever we're printing athleisure and fitness apparel, we know that we need something that's going to be lower temp, because we don't want any scorching, especially when you're working with thin, lightweight products such as this Ogio tank. This applies as low as 290 degrees. So if you guys didn't get a chance to watch the tutorial on Transfer Express's YouTube channel, then definitely check that out. It goes over all the application instructions. But yeah, it applies as low as 290 degrees. I will say too, whenever you do order your reflective transfer, it will include the application instructions. That way you're not guessing. But now I just need to pick out what design I want to put on the tank top. So the tank top is a high neck and it is a racer, so it does cut in a decent bit. I'll show you the back and how thin of a racer that is, which would be cool to put something down there in reflectivity. But I'm just going to do a front placement, and I'm going to go with this top design up here. It's called a Sixer Squad. So I did my gang sheet in mind of, you know, what type of brand that I would want to represent. And this Sixer Squad is for a cycling class. All right, so it does come with a cover sheet. So this cover sheet will come with your screen print transfers. This is the cover sheet that you will want to use whenever you are heat applying this. And I'm going to bring you guys a little bit closer here to the heat press so that you guys can see what we got going on over here. All right. So 290 degrees, we are going to apply this for 15 seconds. And I want to make sure that I am at a medium to firm pressure. So I'm going to dial my A to Z all the way till I can't turn it anymore. That way I know I'm at a firm pressure. And then I'm just going to lighten it a little bit so that it's not overload. Because again, pressure is key whenever you're working with some of these synthetic fabrics. All right, so again, Ogio, we are printing an athleisure fitness inspired tank top. Ogio does their logoing and their tags in reflective. So I think that this is going to pair very nicely with that. Now, before I place my transfer, what I want to do is give a 3 to 5 second preheat. This is helping us prep the garment and get it ready for the transfer. It's going to allow me to test my pressure, release any moisture or wrinkles in the fabric, and just warm it up so that the adhesive wants to cure nicely to it. Now, as I mentioned, this is completely reflective whenever we look at the top of it. So it's just completely silver metallic-like. Whenever we go to transfer this, now I'm just throwing stuff everywhere. Whenever we go to transfer this, this ink is going to transfer, and that is going to cause the reflective to transfer with it. But the reflective is only going to transfer where the ink is. So I'm going to place that down, making sure I'm not too far down from the collar. I'm going to slide this down just a little bit. And I'm just lifting that up just to kind of see where my design starts. So you'll notice that this is the top of where my transfer sheet is, but my design actually doesn't start an inch down from there, or actually probably a full inch at that point. All right, now I'm going to take that cover sheet. This cover sheet is important because the reflective transfer is a cold peel. If I don't use this cover sheet, that could cause any static from the upper platen to actually start to lift my heat transfer. And I want to avoid that from happening because it is a cold peel. So definitely use your cover sheet. And that comes, like I mentioned, it comes in the pack with it. All right, so that's going to apply at 290 degrees for 15 seconds. Now this is a cold peel. So we're going to just take that from the bottom platen and let it set off to the side. And I can actually see where I didn't get enough pressure because I must not have had it on the platen. So if something like this happens, just load it back on and reheat apply it. It's not going to damage it at all. This is also my first time working with this product, so bear with me. All right, so I'm going to lift this up because I want you guys to see this. So I can see where it starts to heat apply down here, but I see that the top of this didn't heat apply at all. So I'm going to recover this and reheat apply for the full time and temp, because I want to make sure the top of that design gets that full application that it needs. Okie doke. Now let's let that cool. And while that is cooling, let's check comments and questions. Okay, thank you, Stacy. Yeah, so there is a link shared there for 3M Reflective, so that if you do need the ANSI certified reflective, you can use the 3M heat transfer vinyl. It's actually very similar. I'm gonna rephrase that. It's actually the same product as our color reflective. It's just that the color reflective is taking that 3M heat transfer vinyl and dyeing it to give it its color. But that's why it's a little bit muted whenever you look at our color reflective, because we're dyeing a product that's already silver and reflective. Hello, Debbie. Thanks for joining. And we have a question that's, what is the longevity of the transfer? So tested for 50 washes, lasts the life of the garment at that point. 50 washes is a good bit. That's just pretty much where we stop testing, just because 50 washes is pretty standard. All right, so let's remove, I'm nervous. I'm excited, but I'm nervous. Okay, first time working with it. Oh, this is awesome. So you guys can see where I'm peeling this away, that the reflective is only getting peeled off where the ink is. I'm sorry, this is hard to peel like that. So I'm just gonna keep peeling. Let me angle down here. Oh, this is just so cool. Look how awesome that is. Can you guys see that? Can you see the reflectivity? That looks great. All right, I'm so excited to do the rest of the video later so that I can see how the rest of it comes out. But I'm trying to move it so that you guys can kind of pick up on that reflective. Here's what we'll do. I'm gonna grab my phone and take a picture with the flash on. That way you guys can see it. I'll just hold it up to the camera. Okay, flash, let's make sure it's on here. On, okay. Oh yeah, so that's super reflective. It completely blacked out the rest of the garment in the photo because of how bright that is. It's just like overshadowing the rest of it. So that looks awesome. I am super excited about this product. I hope you guys are as excited as I am about this. I feel like I'm super geeked, but I'm a total nerd when it comes to this stuff. But yeah, I think this is next level. So this is what the transfer looked like after it's peeled away. So you can see where the water-based ink was. It completely removed where that reflective was on the sheet. So really cool stuff, next level, game changing. It doesn't feel, okay, that's the next thing, is how it feels on the garment. That's always really important, especially whenever you're working with thin, lightweight products like this. It feels like a screen print. It feels like a water-based ink. It does not feel like the vinyl. All right, so that's another reason why maybe this is next level for your customer whenever you're presenting it to them, you know, what's going to be the best reflective option for you. Here we have vinyl. This is how it feels, but here is our water-based reflective ink. And this is next level. So we have a variety of products that this can heat apply to. Notice that I am printing this on a dye sub garment. So this has been sublimated and it is not transferring through this in any way, right? So it is not affecting or migrating through that and changing the finish of this. So all good there. Works on sublimated garments. It works on nylon too. So keep that in mind. Your nylon products can be a little bit tricky, but this product is compatible with nylon. Also with spandex and lycra, your basics, cotton, polyester blends, any of those tri blends. So just keep that in mind because a lot of these synthetic fabrics, they come into the athleisure and fitness market, and this is just a really good solution for that. So yeah, overall, good stuff. 50 washes, don't have to worry about it coming off in the wash or anything. All right. So that is all I have for you guys today. I'm going to make sure to share the photos of this in the Heat Press for Profit Facebook group so that you guys can see that high shine and reflectivity, not through my computer screen. You guys can see it right on Facebook. So I'll be able to share it there. If you're not in there, head over there and join the group. We'll get you accepted so that you guys can see all the educational content that we are sharing in there. Thank you guys so much for joining. Join us next Thursday at the same time, and Kelly Walters will be going live with you guys then. See ya.